guys from Radical Reptiles, and today I'm moving my pet snake Rojo into a bigger cage. So come along with me and you can learn how to do it too. This is my motley corn snake. He's about 3 years old and about 3 feet long, and he likes to slither around a lot. So this was his old cage. You know, it would fit him, but it was a little small. So he had a big upgrade to this massive cage. And some cages can be expensive. And if you go on Facebook Marketplace, you can get some probably cheaper ones. And check the cage first before you get it. Because some cages can have little gaps that your snake can get out of. This, I already checked this. But check it just to make sure there's no little gaps. Because depending on how big your snake is, if your snake is so small, it might be able to get this gap right here. Some doors have pretty big gaps. And my snake, he won't be able to fit through that, but some snakes could. So if you want your snake in the cage, check it before you buy it. Another thing you should consider is looking at the top of your snake's cage. Some reptile keepers make mistakes by getting a reptile cage with a top on it that's either glass or metal. And those, because you need a heat lamp on top of your cage to keep your animals hot or UVB and stuff. And if you get a glass or metal top, the heat's not going to get through it. So it's basically like not having a heat lamp at all. One material that would be good would be a screen kind of lid that looks like that. And another one is if it has holes, like a metal-y kind of material that has a lot of holes in it. That way the heat can still get through and it doesn't block anything. Okay guys, now we're going to get into what we're going to put inside the cage. First thing you need, now all snakes need different stuff. I use this Aspen snake bedding, but you can, like, if your snake is like false water cobra, you might need a damper, something, or you can moist it down. I got this on Amazon. There are big bags and small bags, so if you have a smaller environment. I've also seen it in different pet stores, and this is what it looks like so you can find it. Okay, the next thing you need is a water dish. Now, there's also different sizes of these. There's small ones, big ones. If you have a bigger snake, you might want to get a really big one or a bucket so that way they can soak inside. But my snake doesn't really do that, so I just need a small little thing that he can drink out of. The next thing you need is maybe some greenery, just so they can climb through it. Also makes your cage look a little nicer. And then the last thing that all snakes should have is some sort of hide, or a cave, you could call them. This one is more of a cave, kind of. This one's just a half log. Both of them work. They love both of them. But you can also get a bunch of other stuff. I have skulls and climbing things and everything. So you can use a lot of stuff. The first thing you're going to do to put in your cage is add your bedding. Since my snake likes to bury himself, apparently not right now, but he likes to bury himself, I'm going to add a little bit of a thicker layer of substrate. But if your snake likes to go in branches, you could add branches. But you maybe want a thinner substrate bedding layer. Alright, I just put my bedding in, and now there's plenty of space for him to bury himself and slither all around. And I think my corn snake is unusual because normal corn snakes are technically arboreal. So if your corn snake, or just get to know your snake. If your snake likes to climb, add some branches or something so it can climb on. If your snake likes to bury himself like Rojo, then add a lot more. Like, this is thicker. If your snake doesn't really like to bury himself, you probably only need like a little thin layer. So check your items before you put them in your cage or enclosure, because this one, it came with this enclosure, but it had a couple rough edges inside. We sanded them down, so now they're pretty good. But just check that first, because you don't want your snake to come to slither to get in, but then scratch itself on the way in. So check that before you put it in your cage. Something I forgot to mention is that something very important is that you'll need a heat lamp. So these are the heat lamps that are on the smaller cage for Rojo, but since they're smaller and this is shorter than this one, these won't reach all the way to the bottom. These aren't strong enough. So this one is a bigger one. I cannot use it yet. It has no bulb in it, but this is gonna be on one side or the other. Since this has a weird feeding thing, it's gonna be on this side. And it's just gonna sit there like that, and then the heat is gonna reach the bottom. If I use those, it might go like to here, but since he's a snake and not a human where they stand tall and they're kind of flat, it has to reach all the way to the floor. So that's why I need a bigger one. And if you're asking why are heat lamps so important, it's because since snakes are ectothermic or cold-blooded, they can't control their body temperature. So if it's really cold outside, they're going to be cold. If it's really hot outside, they're going to be hot. So heat bulbs just give them lots of heat, so that way they don't get too cold or too hot. If you get the wrong bulbs, they can overheat. So get the right bulbs. So now I'm going to put some stuff into the cage. First thing is water dishes. They need water dishes so they can stay hydrated. This water dish is more of an appropriate size for him, but he really, really likes this one. Yeah, it's smaller, but he likes to hide underneath it. So get to know your snake and its preferences. So now you want these in the cooler end. If you put your water dishes or water dish in the warmth or the heat under the heat lamp, it's gonna evaporate and then you have no water left. Okay, so this probably we should go right there. Here. Something like that. And then maybe like something over there. Because I don't actually know if I'm gonna be filling this up with water because it's very small and he pretty much only uses it for the hide. So I'm not gonna fill it up. That's why it's in the heat area. Another thing you would need in your reptile's cage is a hide. Like I said earlier, your hide could be a natural cave hide, or it could be a hide like this, like a half log. I got 2 of these. And you want to put one in under the heat and one on the opposite side of the heat. So one's cool and one's warm. Just gonna switch that. Okay, and then since I have 2 hides in here already, technically 3, I'm probably not going to be able to put this one in because you don't want to overload it. In fact, I learned this from a YouTube channel called Snake Discovery. If your cage is too big for your reptile, add more stuff to it. If it's too small, then add less stuff to it. Otherwise, they'll feel stressed. Another place you can look for cheaper products is at Goodwill, but make sure you inspect it and clean it before you put it in your reptile's cage. This one I got at Goodwill, and it's already been cleaned, it's been inspected, it's perfect. He actually really likes this. He always coils in it, so make sure you do that before you just put it in your reptile's cage. The next thing you're going to put in is some leaves or enrichment. They love to climb and slither through all of these little branches. So what I did in his longer cage is I always put them in the back, so they're coming around the corner. That way they're not kind of in the middle and in the way of everything. I kind of did something like this. That way it's not in the way of anything, but it still gives it a little color too. So this one I'm probably just gonna put right there. So I can have maybe a little branch coming out so it's not all plain. But also it's not too much in one area. So he'll love to slither through that. The final thing is adding some fun rock enrichment for them to just climb through. I got these 2 skulls and then this rock thing. So if you have room for them, you can put them in. If you don't, you can rotate them out. like let's say if I cleaned his cage sometime, I could rotate the skull out with this hide. So like it's good to have extra stuff to rotate. But since this is so big, I have to add a little more stuff. So I think I'm gonna put this right there. All right, I think that's all for this cage. Now you know how to make a cage for your first reptile, or your second, or your third, or your fourth, or your fifth, or maybe your sixth. The moment of truth. Rojo, you ready to go in? Good, let's go. Here you go, new cage. What you gonna do first? Oh, he's gonna try bury himself. I told you he liked to bury. You're not gonna look at this whole place you got to slither? Oh, I love you. Okay, Rojo, I hope you enjoy your new enclosure. Alright guys, thanks for watching it, and I hope this helped you make your reptile enclosure. And check back later for new videos.